It was Friday the 13th of January and we got up at 4:30 to head to Tiger Hill to watch the sunrise, something that lots of people do, as you can see. See the sun come up over Kanchenjunga, which is the third highest peak in the world. And we waited in the freezing cold, and eventually the sun came up. It was beautiful. Then we headed back to Gum Monastery. There are lots of monasteries and Tibetan influence in the area. Later in the day we went to the zoo, which was an interesting experience. Mainly Himalayan animals, the red panda. But then we found galahs, which was a bit out of context. And those people who have chickens and roosters, you don't have them at all, you have jungly fowl. Then we went to the Himalayan Mountaineering Institute, that's Tenzing Norgay. And that's a place where they hold courses for adventure and climbing. It was nice to see this sign. I don't know that anyone took any notice. This was a posh school called North Point. Quite an impressive building. And then we ventured onto an Indian cable car. And while we were waiting, I just had a look over, and there's always the food stalls, the momo and the ever popular chai. And on our way down, we met a lovely couple from
That is different.
It's hard not to keep taking pictures of Kanchenjunga, it's so impressive. We headed down the hill, and there was a tea plantation along the way. This is a Tibetan refugee centre, obviously it's been there for some time. The next day on the 14th we headed to Kalimpong, which is a hill station. Along the way we found this eco garden which the locals had developed to try and attract tourists. They have their pot plants in these plastic bags. Quite impressive. And this is the Teesta River, which starts in Tibet and runs all the way through to Bangladesh, one of the major rivers. They were doing some rafting and having a party down there. And piles must be a common complaint. I saw lots of signs. And chocolate. Everything is wrapped so much here. 3 layers of wrapping on your chocolate. Oh, the mountain again. So impressive. This is the George Holmes School. A Scottish gentleman came over in the early 1900s and set up this school. And now it's quite a prestigious school, about 1,500 students and 250 scholarships for impoverished. Monastery in Kalimpong. Beautiful artwork. That was the roof, the ceiling. The building is quite impressive. And some little boys playing, some monks. Kalimpong City. And we went to the market. That's paneer. It's like their cheese. They're potatoes, little potatoes. All sorts of lentils and pulses and rices and spices. Apparently these were happy weed. You put them in your drinks and it gave you an extra buzz. Any tool that you could think of. Any bit of plastic you might need in your kitchen. And stainless steelware. Thongs? Everybody wears thongs. It's coconut on the right and some sort of honey peanuts. There's some sort of mattresses they sleep on. Betel nut. By your tin by the sheeting, by the sheet. Big pots. Everything you can get in an Indian market, even a wheelchair. This is a little restaurant where we had lunch. We had momos and Tibetan soup called thupka. Cost $2 for Preeti and I to have lunch. And randomly in Kalimpong there's a cactus garden. Quite impressive, but random nonetheless. It's obviously been there for some time. quite big specimens. This was very pretty. Whatever you do, don't thock the plants. I'm used to electrical spaghetti, but I hadn't seen plumbing spaghetti before. Every house has its own pipe. And this was impressive too. No helmet, no petrol, but it's only ever the rider that has the helmet, not the passenger. The next day, Preeti and I wandered around Darjeeling and found the market. They get their milk in plastic bags. Here's someone cooking up some sweets. Roadside vendor cooking up some jalebi, which is besan flour piped in like that, and then once it's cooked, soaked in syrup. It is so sweet. Here you can get your nuts and chips and bits and pieces for your snacks. Some little red and green peppers. And mandarins were in season and they were really yummy. You got 10 for about $2. Temple in the middle of town. See Hindu and Tibetan together. Somebody obviously loves this street dog because he's got a little jumper on to keep him warm. The local hospital was a public hospital and has a very interesting message. 1, 2, that's ideal, and then get sterilised. I could get a job there maybe at the nurse training school. And in the middle of the square, the common, is a screen so everyone can watch the cricket. And then the sun setting, and the time was done in Darjeeling.